Just when you thought the world couldn't get any more fucked up. I mean, it's bad enough we already had the Snow White movie come out, but apparently now we actually had a new game come out on Steam, which has universally been panned in almost every country for basically being a rape simulator. Honestly, I think whoever made that game needs to have their fucking hard drive searched, as well as whoever the fuck was responsible for financially bankrolling the project. I'm not gonna mention the name of the goddamn project because honestly, I don't want to give these people any sort of publicity. The name of the game is No Mercy. I've heard about it only because a few people that I follow online in circles of gaming journalism have covered it. No, it's not Kotaku or fucking BuzzFeed Gaming, so like, don't worry, it's not gonna be some crazy pants shitting hardcore political gaming journalist. It's gonna be someone that's like, look, here's why this game is awful. Here's what the game pertains. Here's the things that you should know about it and why it is it should be avoided and fucking hated. Like the game is basically just a rapist simulator where the whole game apparently, according to the journalists who read the plot synopsis, the whole purpose of the quote game was to mentally and emotionally break female members of their family, their stepmother being one of them, to basically make them sexually subservient. Yeah, it's shit like this that makes me think humanity needs to start figuring out how to cut those fucking family trees with a stump. I mean, this is the kind of shit you'd find in some crazy German porn dungeon, where it's just some crazy fucking weirdo coming up with even more twisted, fucked up ways to push the boundaries of what should and shouldn't be allowed to be published. Now, normally I'm not the guy that. Now, normally, I'm not the kind of person to go around saying, like, something shouldn't be in a video game. But shit like this, I am putting my fucking foot down. I am. Because this is unfucking acceptable. This is not acceptable. It's one thing if you more or less imply that someone has been abused in the past, and that's why it is a character relationship with that character in the game, whether it be throughout the plot as a love interest or as a friend and ally in the game, why they might not trust the protagonist or why the protagonist might not trust them right away. These things could work to better develop a character and help explain why it is the character has such a degree of depth. Angela Orozco from Silent Hill 2's remake was an excellent example when it came down to building character depth without needing to show her being hurt, because the implications of the abstract daddy were sufficient enough to prove, without having to openly say it, that her father was the sexually abusive sort. And Angela, as any victim is portrayed as a sympathetic figure who was just living a tortured life because they couldn't cope with what had happened to them and they had no proper way of managing to move on and get closure for what happened to them. Games like No Mercy, however, it's not about trying to build a story. It's just about being a fucking degenerate in a sandbox of being a degenerate. And again, I don't like to be the person that tries to basically like police video games about content and stuff. But when it comes down to this is not a game. This is basically just a rapist simulator that incels would jerk off to. And I hate to say that because it almost sounds hyperbolic, except it's not. It sounds like the kind of shit that an incel would buy whenever they want to get their limp dick rush off beating down digital chicks. This is the kind of stuff I think that would make someone finally snap and go over the edge because they might get it in their head that they can get away with this shit for real. Now, I know most people are intelligent enough to differentiate reality and fiction. And most people are sane enough to realize, yeah, this is not going to work in the real world and this should not happen in the real world because there's real people getting hurt for real. And even though this game is based in fiction, the fact is it's very concerning given the fact that it apparently I only know what the article wrote, and I'm not going to do a dive on that because I'd rather not have to answer a bunch of questions that are going to be asked by a bunch of people exiting black sedans. I'd rather not have to sit there in a fucking interrogation room and answer a question about that. I'm staying as far away from that shit as I am physically able to on the same fucking planet. Seriously, whoever produced that game though needs to have the hard drive search. Like no joke. I'm kind of worried that this person might have dungeons in their basement that they have women chained to walls in. Like, I can't help but be a little bit concerned, given the content of the game according to the people that published that article. I can't help but wonder if the person responsible for producing the game has someone locked in their house in a fucking crawl space somewhere. But the fact is, I'm also worried about how it's going to make people look who are men who play video games. Like, I'm worried it's going to be like something that they're going to use to like hit Steam with. Even though Steam itself is just a platform, I'm kind of worried that people are going to try to hit Steam because of that. And I'm also worried that the male dominated areas in gaming are going to get hit with the stigma that they somehow would unilaterally condone this piece of horrible trash being produced, despite the fact that it turns out like the majority of gamers are either husbands who have children, are either young or teenagers or children themselves, or have like girlfriends with them. At least the majority. Now, obviously, this could be adjusted for a margin of error depending upon where you are in the world, because some places have a lot more single people than they do couples who play video games. Nevertheless, my concern, besides this piece of garbage existing, is the fact that it's going to be used by special interest groups as a way to try to suppress and remove creative freedoms. Keep in mind, there was literally a game, I believe it was not Scorn, it was something else. I forget what the name of the game was, but it was basically a game where you were in hell. That game got censored just because of depictions of human forms nude. Keep in mind, this game was literally just you traveling through hell. There was no sexual abuse in that game. It was literally just a hellish depiction of a person traveling through the underworld to return to the world of the living, apparently. And that game got censored because of a couple nip slips. Meanwhile, this game was able to be greenlit, funded, and released for a short amount of time, and then got hit, instead of the other game, where it was hit before it was even completely released, because the censors and ratings board literally gave it a rating to the point where it couldn't be released at all. Think about it. That means the rating board saw no mercy, allowed it to be out for a little while, then banned it, instead of just blanket banning it the moment they were given time to review it. Like, realistically, like, this is one of those things where if it was a pregnancy, it shouldn't have made it a third of the way to term. Like, this project should have been aborted before that son of a bitch even had time to develop a spine. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone who used to fucking play Manhunt for hours and hours and hours on the PlayStation 2 back in the mid 2010s. Someone that was like, this is talking to, as someone who has literally played all the way through the first and second Manhunt and saw all the visceral and violent fucking executions and takedowns that Cash and Danny can do on the hostile NPCs. And if the description of the game, without even needing to look at it, is enough to make me want it to be fucking burned, then that should say enough. This game doesn't need to exist. And whoever made the game No Mercy should probably end up behind bars. Now, normally I'm not one for censorship, but in situations like this, I believe that human decency standards should be allowed to curb stomp the fuck out of projects like this before they even manage to open their first breaths.